Have you ever tried heat embossing with stencils? Well, how about layered heat embossing with stencils? Today I have a couple of fun examples to share with you. Welcome back to another Take Two with Therese at Altenew, and I've got two cards to share with you using this layering stencil set, which is called Meadow Bush. Has 4 separate layers to it, so what I want to do is something a little bit different today, is use those layers with heat embossing rather than just ink, and we'll go through that in just a moment. This set also has a coordinating set of dies, but it actually has 2 different dies within the set, one that cuts out the whole image and the other that just cuts the flowers. So really unique and a great way to get more from your stencil set. Alright, so I've just got a piece of, this is a spicy yogurt cardstock, and I just grabbed this because I wanted something with a little bit of a texture through it. You're really not going to see much of this in the end by the time I add all the ink and everything to my image, but I just thought it'd be a really nice change. I wanted sort of, for my first card, more subtle colours. So I've simply laid down the main flower portion of the stencil and held it in place with some low tack tape, and then added my embossing ink directly over the top through the stencil. And then I've come in and added some, this is the translucent pearl embossing powder, and it does have a little bit of a sparkle to it, but it's almost like doing a see-through image. But you're going to see why I wanted to do that in just a minute. So the second layer of this is, and you can tell it is because it's got less open areas, so I just laid it over top of the already embossed area. I went by the guide of the packaging to work out where I needed it to be, and then I am coming back in yet again with the embossing ink, and then I can add my next layer of embossing powder. So basically, instead of layering up inks, what we're doing here is layering up embossing powders to get a totally different look on your image. One thing that you do need to consider is whether your embossing powders are translucent or opaque, and you can simply test these on a piece of scrap cardstock to see whether you can see through them or whether they actually cover the cardstock once they're heat set. You don't have to use every layer of your stencil either, so just take a look at what your stencils are and whether they look fun with, all of the layers like I'm doing here, or just maybe 1 or 2 of them. So I want to actually blend my whole background on this particular card, so I need to kind of cover up these leaves here. So I decided to actually blend them with the pigment ink, and then I could seal those leaves with the translucent pearl. I could have used clear embossing ink here as well, but I thought it'd be fun to add that bit of glitter to the leaves. It looks very different here before I add the background color, which is here. Now, I did have trouble. I was bumping the table. I had my camera set beside it, so I didn't include that initial layer of ink because it would have given you a migraine. So I will save you that. And basically I've got the Tranquility set of inks here, and I blended them. I started with the lighter colors but found that they just weren't dark enough, and in the end I just went fully dark and then just wiped the excess ink that I got on the embossing just away with a paper towel. And here I wanted to lift some of that ink just to add a bit of interest to the background. I did that by splattering some iridescent spray and lifting it with some paper towel as well. So I cut that panel down to fit the front like of an A2 card. What's that? 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And my sentiment today, it's the Waterbrush Hello die, and I've layered up a few white die cuts of that and added a gilded glittered cardstock one, and that's the Smoky Quartz color, and it's really pretty. And I did a sub sentiment from the Sentiment Strips 2 set and stamped that in some blue. So there's actually no black ink on this card at all today. even though it's quite a dark card. And it's something very different for me as well, but I've really enjoyed putting it together. Just to push the boundaries with my products, I don't do a lot of heat embossing like this. I might just do a sentiment or something easy like that. I don't usually make it the highlight of my card designs, so it's nice to push those boundaries and have a bit of fun with my products. The second card is using similar techniques, but it's a little bit different. So what I'm doing initially is just creating my flowers, and you might remember that this set has the 2 die cuts, so I thought if I create my flowers and die cut just the flowers out, then I can pop them on the image separately. And this is going to be more of a clean and simple pretty card. Not quite so dramatic. I have used a really pale pink here. It's the pink diamond color, and just the ink blending brushes, and then I came in with the second layer of stencil, and this time I decided to add some white. The next color for my next layer, and the thing with this set of stencils is the leaf layer also has the final layer for the flowers. So what I did here was made sure that I added some embossing ink where the flower centers were, but I wasn't too worried about the leaves. Even though some of it came through, I didn't think it really mattered at all because I was going to be die cutting it anyway. And that just gives me those nice dark centers for the flowers, and I used the razzleberry embossing powder. So I did the same for my leaf background. I just used a couple of greens. It was the limeade, and then I did some shading with the fresh leaf. And then I came in and just decided to add the pink base layer of flowers. It was going to help me work out exactly where these little die cut flowers were going to go. I mean, I could have worked it out from the picture, but I thought if I pop them up, at least it looks like it's almost a 3D kind of toll picture-y kind of thing. The sentiments from the floral frame stamp set, and I did add that with black ink today. I cut the panel down, popped it on the front of a top fold card, and then I am using some low level, these are just a 1mm foam dot here, to pop up all the flowers over the images. And I did come back in and add a few gems and sequins to my cards just for a little bit more interest, but you could add as much or as little as you want. This one doesn't have as much layering with the embossed heat embossing, but it was still fun to do. So I hope you're inspired to give layered heat embossing, especially with your stencils. Give it a try and share it with us if you do. Thanks so much for joining me here today. It'd be great if you could pop over to the blog and you can see all the products that I've used as well as some more pictures. Bye.